So, yeah, so we should be heading somewhere within the live regions of livehood very soon. And
So should we
yes,
do the hum hum
we are
hum?
actually now live, which means that,
Ooh.
yeah. Hey, Switchheads, Kanan here, and I am joined by the very talented.
Rune Shimotsuji Storm.
Hello.
Hello.
And I've lost. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ah,
Can you hear me?
yes. Sorry. Want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Rune Shimotsuji Storm, the developer of the Red Colony series, the saga Red Colony 1, 2, 3. And yeah, I'm a little bit of an indie dev located in Sweden at the moment. I think last time I was on here, I was in Japan.
You
Or
were, yeah.
no, I was in, maybe I just moved to Sweden. I can't remember.
No, I think you were moving there, weren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Tell us a little bit about Red Colony while I just sort out the links and everything.
Sure, I'm gonna try to find the links too somewhere. Now I see it. Okay, I'm gonna just post it as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so Red Colony is a 2D action horror, etchy, very 90s type of game. It's meant to be like a playable graphic novel. Graphic novels are huge in Japan, and I think I mentioned it last time I was on the stream that you can still go into a store in Tokyo and find like a whole shelf of games for the Vita with these graphic novel types of games. So I gave those a go. Obviously, it's just text, so you just read all the time and like press A or B and make options like that. So I thought, hey, I want to make a graphic novel with gameplay, and that's what Red Colony was supposed to be. That's sort of how the Japanese audience seemed to react to it. The Western audience seemed to think more like a 90s B movie or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's quite fun to see how it's being met differently depending on where.
Right. Sorry. Did you? Right. I've just sent you the link to it.
Yeah, I posted it on Twitter, and the sound is working when I click on the YouTube link, so
Okay.
it seems
Cool.
to be working.
Awesome. Oh, he went to pieces. Haha. Sorry. So let's pick them up. Okay, so let's start, shall we? Tell us a bit about the inspiration that you had for Red Colony.
Well, as I mentioned a little bit now, it's from a lot from Japanese graphic novels and Japanese anime. If you play all the Red Colony games, you can tell that it's very anime-esque. It really derails. Also inspired by Resident Evil, Dino Crisis. Can't quite remember how it came about, but and a couple of movies, but mainly games from the 90s and Japanese anime is sort of what inspired me the
Yeah.
most.
Whilst actually developing the game or games or as a series, did you come into any actual problems that you didn't really foresee when you actually took up the challenge of developing the game?
Yeah, tons. I mean, porting to Switch was really difficult. I mean, the first Red Colony game, I just made it for Steam, and then when I got a publisher, I got my hands on a dev kit and all that, so I started porting it to Switch, and that took many months to make it work. You had to sort of remap all the buttons and the graphics and everything, and you know the Switch is not the most powerful system, so unless you're a professional programmer, like a Nintendo programmer, they know how to optimize and everything. So if you look at Breath of the Wild, it looks amazing and it runs on
Yeah.
that machine. But if you're not good at that kind of stuff, even my Red Colony 3, which just came out, they had this, the Western version has like a lag issue. Uh, and that is because I'm just not good enough to optimize and sort of cut corners in the code to make sure the CPU doesn't overclock and all that stuff. So there's tons of difficult things you have to overcome to get a game to work on console.
Mm.
Or, and there's so much coding. Like you really think that it should just be hitting a button and it's ported, but it's months in the making to make it run on the Switch. Uh, so that part was definitely, I did not see that. And I was about to give up many times for the port to Switch, but I was so eager to have a game on the Switch as a old school gamer and a Nintendo fan. I kept at it, and eventually I got it to work on the Switch, and now it's obviously a year later, and all three games are out, so that's great. But that was really difficult to port it.
Um, is it being streamed at 144p? I don't know. Answer to that. Why does it not look smooth, or does it look choppy?
Where
Uh,
is the?
sorry.
Are you reading a chat somewhere or?
Yeah, it's a comment.
Ah, oh yeah, I can turn off the sound so I don't hear myself. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I'm going to skip the dialogue because obviously I don't want to be giving too much away, the story and the like.
144p.
Does it look choppy or?
No, I think it looks all right on my
Oh,
on,
okay.
on my
Fair enough.
screen. Yeah.
Um, okay, so well, if anyone wants to ask any questions, then feel free to ask. All right. I haven't got a clue. It's not my forte on the uh, YouTube side of things. I know that we're having several storms over here in Britain, which is something I explained before we went live, because we've had problems with our internet connection yesterday, which was a bit of a problem in general because these storms are actually knocking powers out in different parts of the Midlands and different parts of the country. So, and apparently it's going to get worse. But I don't want this turning into a weather forecast. So I apologise. But yeah, that might be why it's not at its peak, unfortunately. But yeah, if anyone wants to ask any questions, then feel free to ask, or questions about the actual game or to the actual dev. Sorry, did I ask? Are you done with RC or not?
For now, I guess. We're not gonna spoil the end, but there's definitely room to revisit the series in the future. But I also mentioned before the stream that as a developer, I want to try something else. I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. And I want to, and I think I mentioned that on the last stream with you 7 months ago, that in each Red Colony game, I'm trying to add new things to the game, and that's not just for the gamer to have like a new experience. It's also for me as a developer to learn new things. So in Red Colony 3, you can see the light effects are way better than in the previous games, and that's like one of those things I worked on more in this game than the previous games. Uh, so, because I wanted to learn how to use those things in Unity, for example. I have also been messing around more with layers in this game, and I have done this. Well, you can have multiple outfits,
Yeah.
so there's always something for me to learn in each game. But at this point, it can well, it can also become boring to work on basically the same game over and over again. So I need to take a break from Red Colony. Even though this saga is over, there's still space to. There are some. I have stories I would like to tell at some point, and I hope I'll come back to this. But for now, this is the final episode.
Yeah, fair enough. I do
Mhm.
actually like the way you have actually used light. That must be the worst timing ever, turning it on. It's looking directly at me. Nothing going on here.
Mm.
Yeah, I do actually like the way you've used light in this one, as an actual mechanic, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Which is pretty.
It was, yeah, it was actually in every game that you could crawl past them, but it's just because I didn't.
Yeah, underneath
The games were not
tables.
dark enough, so
Mm,
you couldn't quite tell where you could go or where you could crawl or not.
yeah.
In this game, it's a little bit better. It still can be a bit tricky to know exactly where you can crawl and not, but
Mm,
yeah, I made this game obviously much darker and put a lot of lights in the game, like these cool light sources and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I had to take a lot out because of performance issues.
mm.
But yeah, the PC version will have more lights in it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, will the PC version have more lights? But you just answered that. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
and
yeah. So, oh, sorry about that. Okay. So, what's your favorite game and film? I was going to say or film, but let's just push the boat out.
hmm. I'm not so much for movies actually, even though I have like these games are inspired by a couple of movies,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
count. Oh crap! Oh, I just died. I count anime. No, I didn't. I count anime as films as well. Like, if it's a film and it's anime, then to me that's still a film.
okay. Well, then anime in that case, I think Death Note. I rewatched it just recently, and I think that's a fantastic anime. And it's the sort of if have you watched it by the way, Death Note?
They made a TV series out of it, didn't they?
Yeah, that's not so good, but the anime is really cool, and I love those types of animes where the protagonists are sort of outsmarting each other
Hmm.
throughout the series.
Oh, so you're
So
saying the TV series wasn't as good as the film?
no,
Sorry,
the anime is the
the
best.
anime.
Yeah.
Sorry, I might
Mm.
actually watch them because I quite enjoyed it.
Mm. Yeah, well then you will definitely
Yeah,
enjoy
that's
the
right.
anime.
Yeah.
It's but other than that, like watch a series in terms of series. I love Flight to the Concords and Always Sun in Philadelphia. That kind of
Hmm.
a little bit more inappropriate humor. And nowadays I'm in this sort of British, what do you call it, talk show stuff like Would I Lie to You and Eight
Oh
Out of
right.
Ten
Okay. Yeah.
Cats, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's good fun, but that's not really movies and stuff like that.
No.
But yeah, I don't watch many movies to be honest, but
We.
I'm more like anime, and then it would be definitely Death Note, my favorites.
Hmm.
And in terms of games, my favorite game of all time is Breath of Fire 3 on the original PlayStation.
Oh right.
Uh, it's but at this, I mean, it's a game I go back to every year. I don't know if it's nostalgia at this point or if it's still a good game, but I keep going back to it like once a year and almost once a year.
And just replaying it.
Especially, yeah, just I love it. It's so beautiful. It was colorful comparing to many games of its time.
Hmm.
Even though now, if you look at it, the colors look quite bland and smushy, but it's yeah, the art style is beautiful. The story is great, and I remember as a kid playing it. You know, obviously I'm not a native English speaker, so
Hmm.
but the story was sort of easy enough for me to understand. Unlike Final Fantasy VII, for example, I had no idea what that was all about when I played it as a kid. But Breath of Fire 3 was like I could still understand what was going on. So
Yeah.
That's probably also why I liked it so much.
Cool. Why exactly did you become a developer or a games developer? Like,
Um,
what made you, or what was the decision or thought processes? Like, I always,
uh,
as a kid, thought, oh, I'd love to do that, but obviously, I haven't done that.
mm, it was, I guess, hmm. Well, I always wanted to do it. Before I started making games, I was studying this online course, interior design. And one of the first thing you learned in that course was budgets. Like, if you want to design something, you can't just design whatever you want, obviously, because there's something called money in the real world. So
I don't know
I
that.
thought that was quite it felt like I was limited already. So
Mm,
I started making games, and that's when I realized how much freedom you have when you make games, because there is no such thing as, I mean, physics and money. Obviously, there's money when you make a game because you can't make whatever you want.
yeah,
But at the same time, I mean, Red Colony here, we're watching at it. I created that whole world, and this doesn't cost me anything to design these houses and this skyscraper in the background. It's just so much creative freedom, which is really cool. And I had never really felt that uh, prior to making, well, my first game, Knife Boy. So when I realized that it had that much creative freedom making games, that's when I really felt like, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do, because of that, if that makes sense. But I guess
yeah,
also why I started making games is because my job in Tokyo I had back then was, I had so much free time, and I decided to use that time to learn to make games.
yeah.
But yeah.
I s-
Obviously, since I mean, I also always wanted to make games as a kid growing up, playing games and all that.
yeah, I still want to play Knife Boy though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's on PC, yeah,
It's on Steam.
Steam.
Yeah, but it's being. I mean, I'm working on the remake now, so I hope to put it on the Switch, and it's being remade a lot, so it's almost gonna be a brand new game, basically,
All right. So
and that's
you're,
really cool. Mm.
yeah. No, that is
Yeah,
cool.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, all the things I learned from making Red Colony is basically implemented to Knife Boy to
yeah,
make it what I wanted it to be back when I made it. But it never became the game I wanted it to be because it's I wasn't able to pull it off.
mm. But
So
I think that would be kind of interesting to see. Like, I know obviously the Red Colony games because
mm,
obviously I played them, and I see that side of you, and it'd be because um, it's not the same genre, is it? It's like a completely different
mm,
like genre altogether, isn't it?
yeah, it's more like it was supposed to be a Metrovania, but it's not all. It's not really a Metrovania either. It's more like, I would say, like an action, 2D action game.
All right, okay,
I guess the one on Steam is a little bit more Metrovania. It has those typical, you can't get past certain parts, and then you have to find a power up to get through, and then you
yeah,
can get there, and so
great,
on.
great big map.
You can crawl there to the right, by the way.
Hmm?
There's a secret on the first level there.
What, down the steps?
Yeah, there's a hidden to the right with the bullets.
Here.
Yeah,
Oh,
and if you crawl here, do-do-do-do.
oh wow, I did not see that.
It's
I did walk over here like several times during my gameplay.
mm.
Are there many other bits like that, or?
Yeah, there are a couple of them. Yeah,
Oh right. Oh,
some secrets here and
that
there.
means I've got to go through it again.
Mm.
Find it all.
Yeah. But yeah, the Knife Boy is a totally different game, so that's it's fun to work on it again. But I am running into the same problem. Like porting it is so hard to make it run the way I want, as good as it should, and all that.
So you definitely like, is that like one that's definitely coming to the Switch, or is it like a 50-50 split at the moment?
I feel like it's 30% chance I can't pull it off.
Right.
I
Okay.
am playing on. I mean, I have my dev kit here, and I can play it right now, but this is how it sounds like.
Hmm.
Oh, I don't know if you can hear anything. Anyway, I am playing it on the dev kit now, but it is a couple of months away from being in that stage where you can start bug testing it. So
Yeah.
it's not. I'm not sure yet if I can do this or not, but I hope so.
Well, I'm definitely interested in that.
Mm.
And if not, I think I'd probably would you actually put that on PC as well as the one that's on there already, or?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think that would be worth it uh, to put it on Steam or like release it as a. I can't really update the current game because this is so different. So
Hmm.
it's not really the same game anymore.
Well, if it's a different
But
game, then obviously.
mm, maybe, yeah, I will probably put it on Steam anyway.
Then
But it
yeah.
is the problem with it now is the controller. It's because it's so old, I had to redo the whole controller from scratch. And if you redo a controller that is suited for a game where the levels and everything is already designed, you really have to make it feel exactly like it was back then. So that's the where the big problems lies.
Yeah.
Can't quite make it feel exactly the same. So yeah.
So um, again, if anyone has anything they want to ask, then feel free to just ask, and I'll just go silent for a bit. Um,
Mm.
if you had enough money, or if you had loads and loads of money, what exactly would
Mm.
you make?
Um, I would make a like a JRPG. I already have like the story and the world and everything planned out for that. I wrote that game many years ago, but that's still a game I would like to make one day.
Oh, so you've actually
Uh,
got a story and everything together.
yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So and like the world and everything. So
Yeah,
that's a game I would like to make. But you know that would be that sort of AAA type of game. So I would need all the money for that.
yeah.
Another game I would like to make is the sort of Soulsborne, Bloodborne type of game. I also have sort of written and planned.
Mm.
So yeah, those two games definitely. Uh, But yeah, I still like making games. So who knows? Maybe one day could be like a goal to keep working towards.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I mean, that would be pretty darn awesome.
Hmm.
I kind of like the way your mind works from what I've seen so
Yes.
far. You've got a pretty decent, fun imagination. So um, yeah. So when actually making the third one, did you have like the script and everything already made out? Was it like, you know, this is how I'm definitely going to end it, this is what I'm definitely going to put in it, or was it something that as you started programming and the like, if, you know, did it evolve as you were going along?
Um, I had sort of like a couple of ideas for each game. I mentioned this on another podcast, but the original night, not Knife Boy, the original Red Colony was supposed to be three stories in one.
Mm,
So you were supposed to play as Maria, the scientist, and the nanny, and this spy, who is supposed to be Mina from a different planet.
mm,
So that was supposed to be three stories in one, and I also wanted the game to be really hard. So you might not make it through with each character. So let's say you start playing as Maria and you only make it to the school and she dies, then that's it, it's over. The problem making those types of games is that people can just load and then you can redo it. And I don't, so I sort of abandoned that idea because I wanted it to be punishing. Like if you die, and you won't know the rest of the story
all right, you
from
wanted it
Maria.
permadeath.
Yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
then the story should continue with the nanny, or maybe like in the start menu you can choose which one you want to see first.
Mm,
So anyway, that didn't happen because making multiple characters was too hard. I couldn't quite figure out how to do it back then.
yeah.
Obviously, something I learned with Red Colony 3, with the outfits and all that. But anyway, so that's where the idea came that you play as um, a scientist, and the nanny sort of turned into Nicole from Red Colony 2, who became the spy, and then Mina is the became well, she's on Mars on a mission, obviously, but so that was sort of like I had those ideas in the beginning, and I also had the idea that the games should exaggerate from each entry. So zombies first, and then zombies and dinosaurs, and then zombie, dinosaurs, and robots. So it should have this sort of escalating thing happening. Um, so those things I knew. The story in Red Colony 3 sort of came together halfway through Red Colony 2 when I came up with a twist that Leon was with this robot from another planet. And uh, yeah, so I guess halfway through Red Colony 2, most of the story bits in Red Colony 3 happen. Uh, but I did think it was a bit tricky to make it more to make more interesting NPCs and stuff, because it takes place on Titan and it's no longer on Red Colony 1 or 2. Like it's away from Mars and all that stuff. So my main focus was just to focus on the sort of main three protagonists in Red Colony 3. And as you know, there's some drama there, so I also tried to make it more focused on them, so the player would feel that so the player care about the drama that happens between Mina, Leon, and Julie. Julie, right? Yeah. So yeah, it was. I'm looking here while you're playing.
Yeah,
It's quite distracting for myself, but.
yeah, I apologize. I'm trying
Um,
not to give too much of the game away, and it's
mm,
kind of difficult to do. I did. I was
mm,
just going to say, but I didn't want to interrupt you. I've got one of the changes in costumes now.
mm,
Um, I didn't actually when I played it through the first time. I didn't actually know about the costumes up until a certain point, and then
mm,
and then when I discovered that they were an actual thing, it was like I had I think I had all of them apart from yeah. When I completed it, I had every single one of them apart from one.
mm.
Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I had the end one. I think it's the one directly in the middle, or more or less in the middle, that I didn't have.
Mm.
Um,
This Yeah, this whole costume thing was another thing. The original idea of the game with the permadeath thing was that you only have one pair of clothes, and then when they tear those apart, that's it, you're dead.
right.
But obviously, I couldn't pull it off back then, so I was quite happy that it works like that in Red Colony 3 at least.
Mm,
So as you could notice, there are no health points or anything in Red Colony 3. I
yeah,
mean, health kits.
health
So
kits. Yeah.
The health kits are basically the clothes, but yeah, and that took forever to make the all the outfits and all that.
Mm.
And also comparing to Red Colony 1 and 2, each outfit only have like four stages or whatever.
I think it's quite a neat idea. It's
Mm.
certainly one that's not really, um, I guess, in any game that I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I can't think of a single game that really has that sort of mechanic. Um,
No, that was I wanted that in all games, but it took 3 games until I figured out how to do it.
yeah, I guess it's
But
oh crap. I guess it's a learning curve.
yeah.
Um, all the way through. Sorry, I had to kill that.
Mm.
um, yeah. So, like, is there anything else that you wanted to put in it that you've not been able to put in it?
Um, Yeah, I mean, all the games were supposed to be extremely like political, and that I had to abandon straight away because the games are so short, so it didn't make sense to have all the politics in it. So the whole idea was to paint up the Red Colony 1 as a communist colony. It was supposed to. I had written a bunch of stuff about how beautiful communism is, and then the zombies were supposed to sort of represent um, corruption, if you will.
Mm,
And then Red Colony 2, it was supposed to paint up this beautiful picture of capitalism. Uh, and then the zombies and dinosaurs again represent corruption. And then Red Colony 3 here is supposed to represent sort of not communism or capitalism, but this sort of straight line ahead type of politics
yeah.
where no feelings are involved, and that does the robot society where yeah, it's just work, not thinking about what's politically correct or politically incorrect. Everything is just work, go straight forward, that kind of a society. And then it also went to shit. So that was something the whole series was supposed to be all about, but
Yeah.
it was just too much. I would have to put like logs all over the game with texts, and that wouldn't be so fun for the player.
Mm,
So I skipped that. But there is still that still remains in the game though, all that some of it. Like in the Red Colony 1, you have a tablet. That's your start menu thingy.
yeah.
And in Red Colony 2, it's more fancy wrist gear. And in Red Colony 3, if you play as the robot, it's like she is the start menu. So the idea there was to exaggerate or make the start menu fancier and fancier
Mm.
in a weird way.
So
But then, yeah.
you had a 3D printer and everything, like save, and so why did that change?
In Red Colony 3,
Yeah.
mm, first of all, I felt like it was almost impossible to miss any items. So you would print all these things anyway. And I had this idea that I wanted the guns to be in the world. So you would have to find them in the world instead of printing them. Um, and and since I didn't have the health kit thing anymore because of the clothes instead,
Mm,
it felt like the 3D printer would only be to print. Well, I guess it would be. I mean, like in the other games, you just print what you need. So,
yeah.
but in this game, well, why? Hold on, why was that? I can't remember. Well, I think it was something like that. Like you feel like you can't miss anything, so there was no
Yeah,
point
there wasn't any
having
point
the
in
3D
having it.
printer. Yeah, so I thought if I put the stuff in the world instead, the player will actually go out and try to look more for them.
Yeah.
And I wanted the guns to be in the world instead of coming out from the 3D printer.
Mm.
Uh, and I guess that in the beginning of when I started with Red Colony 3, the Mina was not supposed to have a bunch of clothes. Like her arm was supposed to be her gun.
Mm.
So uh, that was one of the things yeah, something like that.
Fair enough.
Mm.
So what would you say to maybe any potential um like people that want to start developing games themselves?
Mm.
Is there like anything
Uh,
you would say to them?
yeah, one thing I mentioned before we started was that uh, I mentioned to you before we started that making Red Colony 3, for example, didn't make sense from a financial point of view, but I really wanted to make it because of the fans wanted it, and I wanted to finish this series.
Mm.
And one thing that a lot of developers do is that they start making stuff and they never finish it. So if you're gonna start making games, make sure you finish it. Like even if it's not a perfect game, or even if you can't make it the way you wanted it, at least finish it. You don't have to sell it or upload it anywhere, but just finish it off on your computer. That's good practice, first of all, to finish what you
Yeah.
start. Because far too many developers, they start working on something and they come up with a better idea, so they scrap the project they're working on and start on the next one,
Mm.
and then you will never ever get done with anything. And I know many people like that, and trust me, I have tons of ideas for games I want to make, but uh, I sort of follow this golden rule to finish up what you start before you start on something new.
Mm.
But very few developers can do that, because that's the problem when you are too creative, that you just come up with new ideas all the time.
Yeah.
So that's one of them. And then second is that you download some sort of project from Unity, for example, like as a template, and then you use that and go to YouTube and watch tutorials on how to make whatever game you want to make. Let's say you want to make a 2D platformer like Super Mario. There are tutorials out there, so you can just tag along and just do what they do. You won't understand anything what you're doing, but it will work because you're doing what the YouTuber is doing. And eventually, after a year or so of programming, you will actually understand what you're doing, and then you can start branching off and do your own thing. So that's also a good advice to anyone who wants to start, because it feels very extremely overwhelming when you first start programming and all that. But eventually it works in your head, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because it is like learning a new language, and when you learn a new
Yeah,
language,
absolutely.
it's just confusing as fuck in the beginning.
Do you think a really good idea can actually carry a game, even if it had like really bad graphics and really bad sound?
Yeah. Mm, yeah, I mean, there's what's that popular game? Uh, yeah. Uh, it's
Suppose
on the Switch. I'm sure you know it. It's something about this skeleton brothers, and you're like a little kid. It looks like it's made in paint. Do you know
um
which one it is? I need to
mm,
Google it.
not Cuphead, is it?
No, it looks horrible, but it's
Oh,
really
does it?
good.
Right,
Uh,
okay. Fair enough.
uh,
I suppose technically Minecraft looks like crap, doesn't it?
mm.
Well, especially at the very beginning. I remember the Java version.
Yeah, actually, well, Minecraft also is also one of those games that shows that a good idea is
Yeah.
can carry the whole thing. The graphics doesn't matter, but I guess gameplay. I mean, it has to be. Well, if you look at Knife, Red Colony is not like the gameplay is not really the main thing there. There's so many things that goes into games. If it has a good story, or yeah, just yeah, because the gameplay in Red Colony is not really the main part of it, but it does have like an interesting story and graphics.
Yeah,
But what is this game called? Underneath, no, Undertale. There we
Undertale.
go. Undertale, yeah. So, that looks like garbage, but it has really cool game mechanics. The battle system I thought was really fun. I mean, it was like
I
so
haven't
weird.
I haven't played that yet. But
Mm,
when I got my Switch, it's one of the games that I've wanted to play. I think it's the game that got away from me. It's one that I've wanted to play for so long, and I've just not bought it yet.
mm.
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
sure there was a prequel or something, a short prequel.
yeah, I heard about
Yeah, I
that
played
too.
that.
Okay. Yeah, but
um,
that's a game that I'm looking at it now, and it looks better than I remember it. But uh, I thought it looked way worse. But it's not too bad. But the point is, it's when you look at it first time, you might not think it's anything interesting, or you might not even give it a go because of the way it looks. But it is a really cool game, and it has what you asked there. The idea is sort of carrying the whole game, I guess.
yeah. Oh, we got some comments. Hi, Got Cake. As in Got Cake. Um,
Mm.
yeah, Minecraft has actually proved that theory.
Among Us too, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I think that's good. And I think a lot of those games are also indie games.
yeah.
So it's fun to see that the indie scene is playing like a fairly important part of everything.
I think the
'Cause,
Nintendo
yeah.
Switch is, from what I can tell, very indie orientated anyway.
Mm,
Which is ironic how difficult they make it for indies to
mm,
program
yeah.
on.
Mm,
That I'm discovering as I speak to more and more developers,
mm,
which is kind of odd to me. You'd think that indie developers are the main thing that I suppose Nintendo Switch are, or one of the main things that they're known for, but yet it's so difficult to actually um, develop for their platform. Just
mm.
absolutely weird.
Yeah, it would be nice if hmm. What I think is difficult with the Switch is the saving system is like a different from from what I can understand. Like if you develop on PlayStation or Xbox or PC, it uses a different save system,
Mm.
like where the data is being stored. So that's something I struggle a lot with for the Nintendo. So I wish it wasn't like that, but
I think that's
otherwise it's yeah.
I think that's one of the worst things about not knowing how it's easy for me just to say, well, you know, you either save it on the actual Switch
Mm,
or it gets saved up in the cloud because you know most people pay for the cloud saves, don't they, within their subscription?
mm,
That is now mandatory in almost every single platform that you buy, and
yeah.
yeah. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, it's dead easy me saying that and just expecting it to happen all the time without any reference of how it's actually done.
mm.
Um, I
It's I still don't understand how loading and saving works.
oh really?
Yeah, I used the same technique I've done in every game, and that was something someone helped me with many, many years ago. And when I want to make something new, if I add something to my games and it has to save slash load, meaning, if
Mm,
you trigger something and then you load the game, it shouldn't trigger again,
yeah.
for example. I just copy whatever I did with whatever this guy showed me years ago. It's horrible. It's so difficult to learn those things. But
Yeah. It's just bizarre to me. Um, you'd think like they would try and purposely make it easy rather than hard because obviously they want people to develop on their own platform.
mm,
or is that just
But
me?
even yeah, no, but even even within the game, like how you make the code for it is hard, and then whatever you coded, it has to communicate with the platform you're publishing on. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things when you want to put your games on console. So and I don't even know how they could streamline it and make it better and easier. It's beyond me, but
Mm.
yeah, it is what it is.
There's something in this game that I don't want to spoil, um,
Mm.
but it's kind of like one of the puzzles, and it's a very unique puzzle.
No, I wonder which one.
Um, how you actually get the shotgun.
Oh yeah.
How did you come up with that? Because that's so like that is literally so out there.
Yeah.
Without giving it away. I mean, I don't know if you're able to explain.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean this you nah. I guess the idea came from the ending of this game, which is also a bit breaking the fourth wall type of scenario. Maybe that's where it came from.
Oh right,
Like,
okay.
uh, but yeah, I thought it was fun though. A
Mm.
bit sneaky, but
Yeah, I it did throw me for a bit. Honestly, it did, and I was like scratching my head for a bit, and then yeah, quite clever.
Did you notice that that image was updated many months ago, like 2 months ago ish?
No.
Hmm. So that's something I thought like 2 months ago. I thought, I should probably update this banner.
Oh wait, it was there from 2 months ago.
Yeah, on my yeah,
Ah,
where you find the password. I
right.
think it was about 2 months ago I updated it
Yeah,
just to, and then it's clear as day that number, but
yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah. The I mean, when you go looking at someone's thing like that, I think it's the thing that you don't really notice.
Hmm.
Um, I think you become desensitized to it, which
Yeah,
makes sense. Oops.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things, isn't it? It's um, because when you're actually doing stuff within that area, or if you're like chatting to someone, you don't actually see it anyway, do you?
No.
You kind of like have to purposely look for things like that.
Hmm. Yeah. But that whole, yeah, those newspapers, by the way, that was also, I think we talked about it a bit earlier, what was tricky about Red Colony 3. And I said it was kind of hard to make a believable slash interesting world since it takes place on Titan comparing to the other two, which feels more like home.
Mm. You mean
But
these?
those, sorry?
These?
Yeah, so the newspaper, yeah, that was my attempt to sort of give the world a little bit more background,
Mm.
or give the story a little bit more background, so you also know what happened and what's going on there.
Yeah.
Because it's only one game, so I felt like, well, this is uh, the best way I can do it, I guess.
Yeah, I quite
Ah,
like the
yes,
idea.
that's also. Sorry.
I quite enjoyed the idea because it was something else that you can collect.
Cheers, yeah. And another reason why I had those newspapers, first I was wanted to have more NPCs in the game, but the problem was that we didn't know if we were gonna voice this game or not. So if I had more NPCs in the game, it would be too expensive to have voice actors.
Mm.
So then I thought, well, I can have these background stories as newspapers, so those don't need to be voiced. And yeah, the player can collect them and learn a little bit more about what happened here and all that. But that
Yeah.
was supposed to be NPCs saying those things and make it more flushed, like more stuff, more dialogues and all that.
Mm.
But I couldn't cut more of Mina and Leo's conversations because then their relationship wouldn't uh, have as much meaning as it did. So that's one of the sucky things when money is involved,
Yeah.
because basically it ended. That's what it was all about. If we can afford to voice act this or not.
I
So
guess it.
obviously we couldn't. So
Yeah. I
had
guess
I
it's.
known that back then, I would have had more NPCs and all that.
Mm, I guess it's like making a film. It's a decision of what you can and can't have within it
Mm,
because of budget
mm,
restraints, and then coming up with other ways to tell the same thing, but obviously without using the methods that you would normally use. As I said before,
mm.
Star Wars is a perfect example, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was. But it's also always a bit challenging, like, and that's why Julie is a journalist in the game. That was sort of like a last, a last minute idea,
Mm.
just to make it, well, to make sense of the her newspaper that
Yeah,
you find around the world.
yeah. Oh, she had some interesting comments.
Yeah, I made her a bit sassy. It was the idea.
Yeah,
Sassy journalist.
yeah, and she
I
knew it.
can't really remember. Sorry.
I said, and she knew it. She'd point it out a few times.
Yeah. And I also thought that would be a like a fun way for Julie and Mina to sort of diss each other and all.
Mm.
And yeah, yeah,
So, is Knife Boy where you're going to go now, or
yeah. That's But yeah, I told you before, I work a different job now as well, so I don't
mm.
have much time. But I hope in like a month or so, I think I'm ready to. I think I will be able to tell if I can pull it off or not, and then I will probably announce it, and then
Well, I was going to
yeah.
say, do keep us apprised about it because that I would actually love to try out.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's maybe it's a month away before I know if I can do it or not.
Yeah,
And if I can't, I have another game I want to make, which I really, really want to make more than Knife Boy. But like I said before, you have to sort of finish what you start before you.
yeah, of course.
Otherwise, you will just keep on jumping ship all the time, and then nothing gets done.
Mm.
So
What sort of genre is it, or am I not allowed to ask at this point?
it's also 2D. I can say it's a 2D game, but yeah.
Story driven like this, or
No, it's totally different.
oh,
Uh,
okay.
mm,
I think that's what I think these games are pretty cool from my perspective,
mm,
but seeing what you put into these and the out there ness that you have,
mm.
it really does interest me to think about the possibilities of what else you could actually bring in other genres.
Hmm. Yeah, the way this game is in my head is amazing. It's gonna be awesome, but we will see if I can pull it off.
Yeah, that
Mm.
that would be interesting. I would like
Yeah.
to see that at some point.
Mm.
Is there anything else you want to say or
Uh,
mention?
Sorry, what was the last thing?
Sorry, or mention.
Um, yeah, I don't know how many. Well, thanks everyone who supported me, of course. A patch is coming for Red Colony 3 in America and Europe. It was unfortunately basically the wrong build going live. Uh,
Hmm.
so, but if you haven't bought it yet and you want to play the best version, you can also download it from the Japanese store, because it also has English. So it's basically the same game, but it doesn't have the frame rate issue that you will find in Red Colony 3 when you play with the joystick. I believe the the glitch is if you use the joystick. So if you use the D-pad, it shouldn't have the horrible frame rate.
I
So,
have to admit I didn't use the D-pad, but it's kind of like one of those things you just don't nowadays, do you?
well, that's the funny thing. I only use the D-pad. That's why I never found the glitch myself.
Oh right, okay.
Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, the only
It was the Japanese Nintendo team who found it.
oh right,
And
okay.
I assume that the American and European didn't find it either, because you can't get through the game without running into that glitch.
Hmm.
And that glitch happens. I mean, the frame rate issue happens if you use the joystick, so they should have seen it. But I guess they used the D-pad as well, so I assume that's what happened. But who knows?
I'm being asked, is this game worth it? I want to purchase the first one on Switch because it's on sale. I think the first one's definitely the place to start.
Mm. I think the first and second one you can play in either order, sort of. They're both hinting at each other.
Hmm.
Uh, I think most people like the second one the most, but give it a go, man. One, two, three. It's uh, it's
I think
yeah.
I'm a traditionalist. I'm like Star Wars again.
Mm, yeah,
It has to be in order of release.
yeah. No, but yeah, it's true. It's
That's just me though.
hmm. But yeah, that's of course I think they are worth it, man. Jordan with 363. Uh, and if you go ahead and purchase them, thanks for the support. It means the world to us indie devs, at least when we have support from you all.
It's what it's all about, I guess, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, I know the, you know, if you make like millions someday out of a game, um, I'm pretty sure the knowledge that someone absolutely loves what you've created is probably um, worth more internally than money,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's to make that super game one day, I think we got to start somewhere. And as a solo dev, especially, uh, I think Red Colony has been a fantastic start of a journey. I hope. Uh,
Yeah, I
like,
mean, there's been
mm,
loads of devs that have started small and worked their ways up, and
mm,
you know, eventually they're big, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's but it's damn fun to make games. It's so much fun to tell stories.
yeah,
Whatever or not you well the story in Red Colony is it's out there. It's a bit
oh,
crazy,
definitely.
but
I
super
think
fun.
I think I'd write the story and someone make the game.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
it's not laziness. It's just I think I'd be
mm,
better at writing the story than making it.
mm, mm. Yeah, it's fun to write stories. When I write a story in Red Colony, I sit and laugh to myself quite often. So
Yeah.
it's very enjoyable.
But yeah, I think certain games you kind of like definitely get into um, some of the developers' psyche, if that makes sense. You
Mm,
definitely see a piece of them in in what they make and what they create.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that's just me.
That's true.
Does anyone else have any questions before we say goodbye? Just before we sign off. But yeah, obviously I'm leaning on the buy the first one, see what you think of it, and I think so many people did think the second one was the best, but I think I think it'll be doing everything injustice if you just went second and third, if that made
Mm,
sense. I think there's a story to be told in all of them. So, but yeah, thank you for joining me and joining us, and thank you for doing this once again. Maybe we can have another one when Knife Boy hopefully comes our way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, make it a yearly thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I hope it will be less than that.
so far we got a 7 monthly thing at the moment. So
Mm. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe if we're lucky.
yeah. But yeah, it's been very nice talking to you again. Always a
Yeah, you
pleasure.
too.
Thank you.
Likewise.
And thank you everyone else for joining us. And those that didn't join, I know that I spoke to a few people on Discord, and that was leaving comments on the Red Colony free review. Thank you. Oh, I just said thank you. And they were saying that they couldn't make it to it, but they'll be watching the actual stream of it. So obviously, thank you to those that have watched the after stream. And take care, and let us know what if you do buy the game. Let us know what you think about it down below. And
Please do.
Yeah, and we look forward to the next great thing. Well, we know what it is, Knife Boy. So.
Oh, maybe.
Well,
hopefully it's Knife Boy.
Yeah, I'm playing on the hopeful side. I'm an optimist.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and we will speak to you once again, hopefully.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.